Yes, guys, Suki from BTS Beyond the Stage, fueled by Explosive Ape and GSN. And today, we got a special guest all the way from Columbus, Ohio. She's IFBB Pro League judge, not just pro shows and NPC shows, but international shows. She's actually judge. She actually was a head judge of one of my favorite shows in the world, and that is the Monster Gym show, which I absolutely love. It's the best production in the world. I'm a huge fan of those guys. But, of course, Olympia and Arnold Classic. So, Becky, really appreciate you taking the time. What time is it over there at the moment?
It's like 2 p.m., a little after 2 p.m. So it's good for me. It's a little later for you.
Yeah, it's all good. Well, look, Becky, I'm going straight into it. The fit model division never has a subject, an announcement, hit socials, come from Tyler Mannion, split the bodybuilding community in such in a way, aggressive way, because of course we've seen some of the response, both positive and negative. My first question is, was this something that you were expecting? Were you expecting this kind of response when that announcement was made?
I wasn't expecting such extreme responses. I guess I should have been prepared for it because to me, this is very similar to what happened when Bikini came out. I remember that in 2009 or whatever it was. Everybody said the same thing back then about Bikini. I think it's probably more extreme now, and there's a lot more of it because the sport has grown, which is a great thing. So there's so many people due to social media, due to our shows, all the divisions that are involved. So people have their opinions. They have more to say now. And ironically, I think that actually comes from Bikini, Men's Physique, these other divisions that have been released in our industry because it's attracted more people. Like there's more people talking because we've expanded and grown so much. So to me, Fit Model is just the next step. And it's just reaching another group, another core group of athletes that want to compete and need a stepping stone, need a gateway into our sport.
So yes, I want to touch on that as well, because you mentioned about the fact that there's been other classes which have come in and we've seen the kind of response before. I guess the difference with this class is when we use, for example, classic physique, it was very much the next one up from men's physique. Wellness, physique wise, structure wise, is up above the bikini look. So this is the first one where it's actually going, I don't want to use the term backwards, but it's the one beneath bikini when you are looking at a structure, shape, and condition. So just very quickly, tell the guys, what is the fit model division before we start breaking this category down?
Sure. So it is the stepping stone into the other divisions. You need to have muscle. You need to be fit. I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, I could just roll out of bed and walk on stage." Well, that's not the case. And I think if we look at, especially in America, our population, nobody walks or rolls out of bed and walks on stage looking like that. So there's definitely work involved, but it's a less dense, less mature, maybe physique, and you don't have to be as hard and as separated. And it could be a springboard to do any other division if someone so desires. Back when bikini started, some of our best athletes, Brooke Walker was a bikini girl. She's now, an Olympian, a top women's physique Olympian. We've had, figure champions. Latoria Watts, I believe, started in bikini. And so it's just kind of covering that gap from where bikini is today, because it has, increased a little bit in muscularity, a little bit in leanness. So it takes a little bit more time to be competitive in that division. And I think this covers the gap so that if someone does want to compete, they can put in some effort, some time in the gym, and versus taking, 2 to 3 years in an off season just to try to build something to be competitive, they can get on stage maybe 6 months to a year and be competitive, and it can get their feet wet in our sport. And hopefully, it's something that matches people's goals and their lifestyles, and maybe even it's a gateway to the other divisions that they might want to try out.
So this category, look, obviously, I've always told you that I'm very much 50-50 about the category. Let me tell you the positive of where I see it at the moment. I completely understand on a business perspective how beneficial this class is going to be. I promoted shows for 7 years before I transferred over to BTS TV. And we know not only is this going to impact promoters for class entries, but also spectator tickets, sponsorship. There's also a domino effect, which falls onto prep coaches, posing coaches, new coaches coming through. We also can look in regards to obviously like our pages, social media is something else we can cover, something else we can discuss. It's going to have that effect on a business perspective. Bikini brands, stage accessory brands.
Yep.
Everybody wins really on a business perspective. And I guess my key question here is, if we are seeing more competitors now take it to the stage through the fit model division, with the increase in revenue that's gonna generate, do you feel that's gonna feed into an increase in prize money going into maybe amateur pro shows? Because we've always seen the negative messages and comments about it's money grabbing. It's another way for the IFBB NPC to make more money. But what's not being discussed is where is that extra money potentially or percentage of that going to be going? Are you able to give us a bit more insight about the potential benefit this will have on the other divisions and the pros?
Well, for sure, the promoters will benefit because they're going to have more entries into their shows, which is great. Probably more ticket sales, just from their friends and family. The more athletes we have in shows, the more ticket sales are generated. And also, just from like the sponsorships that these women will have access to, it's just well known that bodybuilding is very much a niche sport. So if we have something that is closer to the mainstream, it's just much more attractive to companies and sponsors, and especially on social media. I feel like without even increasing the prize money, which I would expect to happen, just the opportunity for these athletes to get sponsorship, to, potentially make or earn income outside of, just their prize money and their earnings is just huge. And then as we attract these companies to perhaps this division, then they start working our expos or getting booths at our expos, and they start branching out into the other divisions. And really, the more attention we get from mainstream media, from the mainstream audiences, the more we bring attention to our entire sport. So I feel like that can only be a good thing.
So you just mentioned there about mainstream. Now, we've been using this terminology a lot in regards to how is the bodybuilding community going to react? What does the bodybuilding community think of these changes? But it seems now very much the NPC IFBB is not too much now. It's about expanding the bodybuilding community where it's becoming a mainstream community. So I want to reflect on, this is something that Ashley Cole-Watson said when obviously she's been used as the poster girl for the division. We have to reflect on 2015. Example. Yeah, so 2015, she won the Olympia and the Arnold Classic. I posted a video the other day with some of the other competitors. We actually seen recently Janet was being posted stories as well of her physique back then. It's been a great time machine to look back at where bikini was 2015 to where it is now in 2024. However, this is where I feel that a lot of negativity has come and hitting the fit model division. And I do think it's unfair, but it's the terminology that I've been hearing from judges, obviously the ties that use a certain terminology. And I'm keen to hear your thoughts, because this is one which did instigate a bit of a response. And Ashley's mentioned in her story saying there are so many girls who wish they could compete, but maybe they are genetically smaller, or they don't have a desire to get as lean and muscular. So there's obviously an element of that which people have grabbed, and that is not the genetically smaller, because genetics we know play part, and that's something you can't control. but the part where they don't have the desire to get as lean or as muscular. Now, this is where I think people are taking, hitting it in a direction by saying, wait there, if you haven't got a desire to get lean or as muscular, then is bodybuilding for you? Because as the term is bodybuilding, you are building your body. That's how it's always been. We've seen transitions from bikini girls going into figure, men's physique to classic. So I'm keen to hear from your side with terminology like that. We've heard other terminology around the work ethic of some of the competitors that may wish to go and do the fit model division. Am I wrong in this area, or is this? Can you hear your thoughts here?
It's genuinely a problem with people critiquing these physiques, thinking that it's easy to achieve it. I think it's just ignorance, perhaps. Maybe it's newer trainers that haven't been around as long as, when bikini first started, and actually had athletes that were maybe in the division at first, or it's people that just aren't familiar with the work that goes into it. There's so many things that go into building a physique like that. And as someone who competed in that division, I can tell you it is work. And as someone who, I used to train with Ashley and compete with her, I can say it was hard work. And I think, it's all a degree, right? In bodybuilding, we all train, we all diet, we all do cardio. It's to what degree? And I think it's also, what is your approach to it? Depending on your genetics, depending on, if you're supplementing, what you're doing, but we're all like going through the motions, right? We're all training hard. Some of us with worse genetics than others are training harder than the ones with great genetics. And there's always diet involved. So for them to say, a less conditioned physique doesn't mean out of shape. And that's something that I think we saw when wellness came out. Do you remember that? It was like everyone was saying, oh, they're fat bikini girls. I don't think anyone in this day and age would take a look at those champions and say, oh, those are fat bikini girls. It's just a misconception that people think these girls are out of shape or they're not working hard. It's another path, in my opinion, for people to make choices as to how they want to look on stage and, 365 days a year. I've always said, there are girls that ask me often, which division should I do? And I say, well, how do you want to train? And how do you want to look? Some of them are more muscular and they're like, I just don't want to do figure, even though my body may be better built for that. I don't want to carry that much muscle. So it's like, okay, then, go down to this bikini, train in that, or to this division, like bikini, train in that manner, and then you're going to be happy with your physique year round. Because that's important too. Like, we're not just looking to get on a stage. You're in front of the judges for what? Maybe 30 minutes, maybe a couple of times a year. You have to be happy with yourself and what you look like off stage as well. And then you also have to consider your health and your genetics. Me personally, I started out in figure because it was my only option. I didn't have bikini to go into. I would have been way better off had bikini existed, because then I could work up to it. And I actually stepped down from pro figure to bikini because after 8 years of competing figure, I had the muscle maturity and my body just needed a break. I was beating it up every single day. I was tired. I sort of wanted a little bit of an easier lifestyle, to bank on the muscle that I had built. So bikini was a great option for me. And as soon as I transitioned, my coach was like, man, this had only existed back when you first started. That would have been the perfect jumping off point for me. And then I probably would have gone to figure, but it would have been a much better start for me.
No, yeah, I completely understand at that point there. So let me just go back to the fit model division. So what the competitors that you're expecting to see step on into this division, are you expecting to see complete? It's going to be a large percentage. It's going to be new competitors who maybe go to the gym. They have a goal, but they train they're doing the old 4 or 5 days a week. Are we thinking that it's going to be grabbing a new audience, or do we feel that a larger percentage is going to fall from maybe the existing category above it, which is bikini, and maybe it's those competitors who aren't hitting that top 3 in a regional or a pro qualifier, and maybe now they're thinking, well, I'm better suited to step down to fit model. Where are we expected to see the larger percentage of new competitors coming from?
I think we'll see both. I would expect a lot more new competitors to come into the sport. Just from the feedback I've seen online and just the interactions I've had with athletes, I think that newer competitors, people hoping to compete, are like coming out of the woodwork. And they're like, first time poster, like in forums, I'm thinking about actually competing next year. I was going to wait till 2026. And, I think maybe I can, get started with what I've got. I think we're going to pull that audience. But then I also think there's going to be some former retired bikini pros that will come back just because maybe the division, went a little bit beyond what they wanted to do or what they could do. And then, I think there are going to be some current bikini athletes who are like, I think I'm better suited to this. Again, like I said, maybe their lifestyle and their genetics, it's just going to be healthier for them to do this other division. And it doesn't mean that the work stops, right? Like you still have to lift to maintain any kind of shape, to maintain the full glutes that we want to see. You got to train. And you still, to maintain balance and proportion, you have to train. And certainly, we're looking for a lean, fit physique, which may not have separation or certainly not striations or be hard. You've got to be fit, and that takes diet. Like you can't just eat whatever you want. You have to be disciplined to get that skin tone and everything nice and tight and firm. So I think that, we'll pull from all over the place, honestly.
Now, if we're pulling from bikini, do we not feel that that could actually reduce the numbers of bikini competitors? Because we know, look, as a competitor, you do your prep, and if you don't get the result you want, it can be a hit the ego. We see all the times like, oh God, maybe I'm not what the judges are looking for. When really you just weren't the one on the day. Especially if you don't make the top 3. So, do we not feel then this division could actually potentially have a negative impact on the bikini division by actually reducing their numbers and more competitors actually thinking, you know what, I haven't made top 3 for 2 or 3 shows on the bounce. I'm probably better suited to fit model. And then that is funneling more competitors to that division. And therefore bikini, actually their numbers are start to drop.
I think that could happen at first. I don't expect like a huge influx from the bikini division, but I think ultimately it'll build that division back up. It's going to be like a feeder division, in my opinion. Like anyone who has ambition to keep training and building out their physique and, pushing their limits, seeing how far they can go, the next logical step out of fit model would be bikini. So even if people come down, like, to that division, which maybe that was the division they should have been in to start with, I think it's only going to help them get back into the category that perhaps they should be in when they're ready for it. So I don't think I think ultimately it'll boost bikini because it's going to be a feeder division.
But we say it's going to be a feeder division, but 2026, are we right to expect that we could be looking at pro shows for the fit model division? Because obviously, close to home, Two Bros are the affiliate part of NPC. They are launching the Pro IP Pro card in the Benwida in a few months' time, and that'll be the UK first pro card for fit model. And we've seen I'm looking right now of Ashley Cole-Wasser here. I can see a clear difference for how she looks here versus a bikini competitor. And we look at Ashley 2024, Laura Lee 2024, the list goes on and on. So there's a clear difference of physiques. So even a slightest change could impact them negatively. I'm assuming you were saying that it's going to be it could be a feeder for bikini, but with the volume of competitors and having IFBB Pro card and having pro shows happening in 2026, is that the way to look at it? This division, because if this division looks like it's going to hold its own with the volume of competitors that we're expected to see.
I think so. Just knowing the nature of competitors in bodybuilding, because again, no matter what the naysayers say, even a bikini girl has a mentality of a bodybuilder. I know I sure did. I was small, but I trained as hard as anybody else, and I think that's why the divisions have increased in muscularity and conditioning as much as they have. It's kind of a push pull with the athletes pushing their limits and the judges trying to pull it, and the officials trying to pull it back and rein it in. So I think there's going to be some athletes that are happy with fit model, and like we've said, it fits their lifestyle and it's what they want to look like. But there's always going to be those athletes. I mean, bodybuilding is an extreme sport. You diet 24/7 and work out 365. And there's going to be those people that love that challenge, and they're going to want to push their body to the next level. And whether that's bikini, figure, women's physique, bodybuilding, they're going to want to go and challenge themselves, and that's going to result in a change in division ultimately for some of those athletes.
And we talk about change division. I want to go back to fitness model in a moment, but you just mentioned like people looking at change. I predicted about a year or 2 years ago that I thought another class would be coming into the IFBB NPC, and I thought it would be something like this. However, with a little bit of difference, because I didn't expect something like this. I thought it would be something around the fitness model, but taken from current other fitness federations, like obviously I'll name some of them as well: FMG, WBFF, ones where they've already got a built audience of competitors. And I thought that maybe the NPC IFBB may take that route and either create separate shows, which obviously may be a negative for promoters because that means more money to spend, or add the classes onto the additional shows. I thought that was going to be a easier route where you've got the audience of competitors at different federations and you're purely just drawing them over, and all of a sudden you've got a more glamour division. And I'm talking more, not the gowns, but still the bikinis. That's where I originally thought the new division was going to come in. And of course, now seeing this was the one where I was like, oh, wait there. Bodybuilders always looked like we were evolving. We're always going forward. But now we're talking about physique that was nearly a decade ago. Now, I guess my point I'm making here is we're referring to a 3-time Olympia champion, the most successful competitor in history with 50 pro wins. I wasn't sure about using an example from 2015, given the fact how far bodybuilding has gone since then. Do you think maybe some of an activity has come from maybe reflecting to something that was 10 years ago? Because I don't know if you saw some of the comments. Some of the comments around it has been, wait there, why are they adding a new division of bikini? Surely they need to sort out the criteria. The criteria is the issue. And as we've seen, the development over time of the bikini class.
Yeah, and I understand that. I actually had those questions when I was a competitor, especially when I started getting into judging. And luckily, I had great mentors who explained kind of, how this all works.
So sorry, Becky. I think your mic's going off slightly. Just losing your voice.
Can you hear me?
There we go. That's better. Perfect.
Okay. Sorry. I think those are the same questions that I had as an athlete. And I asked the officials, the judges that I knew, why figures getting harder or bikinis getting harder. And like I said, it's really hard to balance the athlete's ambitions to push the envelope with what the criteria is for the division. And since I've been in bodybuilding, which has been 20 years, they've had, 20% reduction in size mandates. That's happened twice when I was competing. probably, what was it, 5, 6, maybe 7 years ago in bikini, we said we're pulling back. We don't want you as hard, and we did, and it came back down. But I think, the constant of the athletes pushing it to the next level, and I think you see at the Olympia, like the top 6 at the Olympia still hold the criteria really well. But you start to see outside of that that there are some athletes that are a little bit harder and more conditioned, and it's just really hard when the athletes all want to be a little bit extreme, and that's where divisions start to change. But I think also it's in the history of our sport to understand that and to strike as good of a balance as we can, but also to make opportunities for people who aren't at that extreme level yet. Like when bodybuilding came out, that was it. You were a women's bodybuilder. And as that level of competitiveness, muscularity, hardness, leanness started to escalate, they brought about fitness. So it's like, okay, these girls are less muscular. They're going to do a routine. It's something new to add to the division. Then it was, what if you can't do a routine, but you've got a stellar physique? Like Jenny Lynn was the example for the figure division. Perfect, beautiful physique, terrible at a routine. But we want a place for these athletes. And as the sport just has continually progressed, we've made room, like bodybuilding and women's physique. There used to be lightweight and heavyweight bodybuilding, and that went away. So I think it's just, as the sport takes its natural path and keeps growing, we keep trying to make opportunities for athletes to get into our sport, get interested, and for so many reasons, for the business reason, but also for the athletes, that they have an opportunity to get involved in our sport. And, who knows where we'll be. I think this is probably the gateway of our sport, and we should maintain this criteria and keep it where it is. We'll be pretty good with the women's divisions, but I think if you look at bodybuilding historically, this shouldn't really be a surprise. This is how the sport has gone, at least as long as I've been involved. And your comment regarding the other federations that do like the fit model stuff, this feels like a great fit for the NPC and IFBB, just because it covers maybe that same physique and that same look, that mainstream look, but we're still a bodybuilding organization. So, like the costuming and stuff doesn't really seem like it would fit for us. So I feel like this kind of nailed that look and gives them the opportunity of getting on our stages, which are, in my opinion, the biggest and the best in the world. Just perhaps, not with all the pomp and circumstance that's over there. It's fit model, but for a bodybuilding federation.
So I just want to finish on a couple of last things. And I'm looking right now. This is the Arnold Classic 2015. Now, these are physiques from over a decade ago. I probably would say right now, this isn't a shot at any of these competitors because we know how advanced their physiques and also bikini has got over the last decade. I'm looking at this then. I'm thinking you're going to get a lot of people who've never competed before, whose probably starting position is probably similar to the shape if they'd be trained for 6-12 months. Plus, you're going to have some of the people from bikini coming down who may have not cut it on the bikini side. I'm now thinking this division is going to be very, very difficult to judge because physiques are going to be so aligned. I also think that the difference between amateur and pro is going to be the smallest margin compared to any other amateur or pro show. And that's because we're looking at physique, and what Tyler Mannion said, what you've mentioned as well, is it's not extreme. It's not pushing maybe the boundaries of leanness, condition, and muscularity that the bikini girls are doing. We're only going to look at the NPC nationals winner, who got a pro card, the overall winner. The girls are in Olympia. Do you feel that maybe this division is going to be the toughest class to judge, but therefore maybe as well here, this could be the one where, I don't know, could results be different? Are we susceptible to potential mistakes happening when it comes to judging this class because it is so close on the look that we're looking for, that is so achievable, is so attainable?
I think it's definitely going to be difficult to judge at first. It makes me think of like judging wellness when it first came out, especially in the US. Wellness wasn't a really popular division here. It was obviously in other countries, and they had like a stable of athletes that had come up through the ranks that fit the ideal. Here in the US, we didn't have that. So we were seeing girls show up, softer, smaller, like not really the ideal. And it took us a while. I still see at shows, girls that are really bikini thinking of wellness. And you have to coach them and educate them, like, if you really want to be this division, you have to change these things or tweak these things. So I think that's going to happen. It's going to be a lot of feedback to the athletes and making the best decision we can. But the one thing I have a lot of faith in is that and Tyler has built a team of judges that are very consistent or try to be very consistent. It's usually the same people judging, like the national shows. Sandy Williamson, she's our leader. So she will be judging all of her qualifiers to keep the standards consistent. And then even around the world, a lot of us travel, and that is in order to, educate our counterparts around the world, which we have fantastic judges everywhere, but also to continually, talk and make sure we're on the same page about things and educate each other and share feedback so that the result is consistent. And I can say that sometimes you see results that people are like, why did this person win? But if you look at the rest of the class, we made the best decision we could and picked the one that was closest to what we think the standard is. And, I think you're going to see that at first, but we're going to do our best job to be consistent. And then as the division grows, you're going to be able to see similarities and patterns.
So on that, what I want to do, I want to bring up two competitors from UK. I'm going to go for one pro and one amateur. And I'm really keen to hear your thoughts on where you feel they are best fit. So first one is Emily. Now, she's a natural IFBB Pro bikini competitor. And she just competed over at the Ben Weider Naturals. So the reason I'm doing this, I'm keen to hear your thoughts, because I'm looking at physiques and just get an idea of where you feel they fit, because we're trying to understand the difference here on bikini and fit model. When you're seeing this, what are you seeing here? Are you seeing bikini or are you seeing fit model?
Definitely the upper body looks a little bit more bikini, and she's got really nice development. She's certainly not too hard. Her tie-ins aren't too hard. I think she could use a little bit more maturity and maybe even a little bit more shape to her legs. But this is somebody who I feel like can make the decision that is right for them. Like, what do they want to compete in? What do they want to look like? For her, because she has a nice foundation of muscle, it could just be tweaking her diet. You could obviously, diet plays into a lot. She's got to be, lean enough to compete, but you can do different things just with your food, even as a natural athlete, to come in, softer or smaller, not maybe as full or as hard on the upper body. So for her, she's got quite a physique. I think she could even step into fit model if she wanted, with a few, adjustments to the diet. And I think she could do great. I think it's up to her. What does she want to do? Does she want to keep going in bikini, keep adding that density, working the upper body and stuff? But she has an opportunity to do whatever she wants in those divisions.
And I'll do one more, because this is one of the most recent amateur competitors. Now, she's a very successful bikini competitor, 2 Bros bikini overall winner. She recently did the Emilio Martinez show, which I know you've been over there as well. This was over a big man weekend. I thought this was going to be a video, but I think that's actually pictures. She had a video. Here we go. I think this is the video. Here we go. So slightly different to Emily, because Emily is a IFBB Pro. Keen to hear your thoughts once again, because the whole point of this is to start distinguishing where is the difference between fit model and a bikini.
And she's got quite a bit of development, really nice glute shape. definitely the upper body too. So this is a little bit more bikini to me. Um, and really with that dramatic hourglass shape, she's really got so much potential in the bikini division. But again, I think it's close enough that, depending on how she wanted to train or if she wanted to, go to fit model, it would just be adjusting that for her. But she's already got such a great foundation. And like I said, in that front pose, she's got a really stark, like hourglass shape. I think she's good in bikini, honestly. And
Okay.
if she wanted to do fit model, I do think it's possible. But with her foundation that she's built, she's kind of already like maybe on the top end of
Got
the
you.
development for fit model.
So I'm assuming this is going to be a situation you're going to be in quite a lot, where you can get a lot of bikini
Yeah.
competitors actually reach out asking which one will I fit. One, I did a post the other day, and I predicted this for a while that, and this is just nailed it further, that after seeing the fit model class be announced, then surely only around the corner there's going to be a male version. Now we know bikini came out before men's physique. Men's physique had to wait a couple years later, so I imagine you guys are going to be using the data for fit model. What the number of competitors looking like? What's the volume? How receptive has everyone been?
Yep.
Am I right to assume that a similar division for men's physique, whether it's called beach model or whether it's trunks or shorts, that just like men's physique got to a point where you've had to have a weight cap, there are still going to be those competitors who can't achieve that muscularity, that condition, just like in bikini. Do you feel there could potentially be a male division similar to fit model in the near future with the NPC IFBB?
I'm not sure, honestly. I think, like you said, it's going to be a lot of looking at the data, looking at the response. How is this going for the athlete, for the promoters, just for the industry as a whole? Like you said, men's physique came out a little bit later. We just instituted those height and weight caps, in the pros. That hasn't even made it to the amateurs yet. So I think it's letting that play out as well as all of the other things we've been trying to do in judging that division. Tyler's been really emphatic about, wash the shoulders and the arm size. Like everything has to be in proportion. They can't look like bodybuilders out there. And we've really tried to stick to that. And I'd say we've made recent changes to hopefully make that division a little closer to its original intent. But I mean, you never know. Like this industry is growing like crazy because of these new divisions, which I know that ruffles some people's feathers, but something like that could be on the horizon. I'm not sure.
I think 100% that's going to happen. With the terminology you guys are using of mainstream, accessible, I think these are the words of 2025. And that could only mean that a similar division will be launched. I'm not saying next year, maybe 2026. Maybe you're going to wait after the pro fit model division will launch. But 100%, I think that is definitely going to come in the near future, because that just is going to have the same impact that men's physique had when that launched back all those years ago.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just going to
crazy that those two new divisions for men have just exploded. Like classic is so popular, and men's physique is so popular. Those were such great additions. I think, and it's still bodybuilding, but it's for a different audience, a different intent, a different desire to look a different way, and also it covers people with different genetics. So, I think
absolutely.
expanding has always been a great thing for us.
Okay, we're going to finish with quick fire questions. Just keen to, and it's really about the fit model division. First one piece of advice for those competitors who are thinking about stepping into the fit model division in 2025.
I say honestly go for it. I think that the most opportunity is when our divisions are new. Because like you said, we're going to have people from all over, all different kinds of bodies. Get into it while it's still new, get your feedback. We're going to be working really hard with the athletes to guide them towards the criteria. So it's a great opportunity to learn eventually get a coach, but at least train consistently, work hard in the gym, weightlifting, bodybuilding style training, clean up your eating because all of that will be required. Despite what people think, it's definitely a look that you worked for. So I would say get your stuff in order and then go for it. Like next year is going to be a wild opportunity for everybody.
Okay, to all those people who are looking at the fit model division in a negative view because it's something new, what is one thing you would say to them for them to give the division a chance?
I would say appreciate the fact from someone who's competed in that division and trained with the best, trained with Ashley and all of them. They are bodybuilders. They have made perhaps different choices in how big they want to get and maybe how they want to diet, eat, supplement, things like that. But they are athletes, and this sport. I'll tell you one instance. I had someone who's in women's physique make very negative comments about this, but she was able to compete and turn pro as a women's physique in a master's division. That would not have happened 20 years ago. The sport expanding has given opportunities to everyone. And really, if you're in any category outside of bodybuilding, you've benefited from our new divisions, new categories, education, so forth. So really, I think if we look at ourselves and our own opportunities, we've all benefited. So why not let this new group of athletes benefit as well?
Yeah, that were my two questions. My two questions were aimed at people who are looking to step on stage and those who have been questioned. Well, look, obviously, I really do appreciate your time. I'm still very much 50-50 because I want to see how this plays out. I want to see, can we expect consistency when it comes to judges? What are the results going to look like for fit body versus bikini? Because fit model and bikini, I think really there's a lot. I think there's a lot of pressure that's going to be on the judges to make sure that this division has a fast start. I don't think you guys are going to struggle for competitors. No. NPC, IFBB don't struggle for competitors. We've seen them in naturals last year, and we're going to see it in the fit model division next year. But I am interested to see how this plays out. I'm more interested to see the competitors who are currently competing in bikini, who are the ones who are going to step to the fit model division. Step to fit model division. And also the pros. Who are the pros who are going to be thinking 2026? I'm gonna go the fit model route because, like I said, we are seeing a lot of competitors decide to skip the off season, skip the year out because now they feel, wait there, I don't need to put muscle on. I can actually focus on this division. Well, look, Becky, really appreciate your time. And look, obviously, you're doing great work on your socials in pushing the fit model class. I've seen loads of your stories and posts. Obviously, there was one post which I put on my page that I took from your story, which was a very comprehensive breakdown of the fit model division. I think right now, something that's very important is getting plenty of education out, content-wise, to the competitors, to those who are looking to compete in that division. Something that Tyler Mannion is doing very well. Something he did very well this year was the YouTube videos reflecting doing a recap of those shows. That was something that was much needed. So I know the competitors appreciate that very much. Becky.
Much information as we have, we will share it, and I'll continue to do it. And thank you for doing this too. Coming straight from the judges and from Tyler, I think it demystifies a lot of it. I think that a lot of competitors think there's a lot more going on than there really is, and if we can explain it, it makes it more transparent, more straightforward. I think it gives them more faith in competing, and it gets them more excited. The more information they have, they feel more prepared. So thank you for what you're doing as well. We appreciate it.
No problem. Look, you have a Merry Christmas. I'm sure we are going to definitely catch up after the first ever NPC show doing the fit model division. I'm keen. I got a keen eye. I'm looking forward to see how that plays out.
Yes, me too.
Excellent. Have a great Christmas.
Thank you. Merry